are looking forward to a great week, as I am. And I have the privilege of preaching in South Carolina coming up on Wednesday. So tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday will be in different places. But Lord willing, I'll be able to have a good enough signal to make that all happen. But I'm looking forward to that. But today we're in Acts chapter 3. And Acts chapter 3, Peter and John start this chapter by finding the lame man. And as the lame man cries out to them for money, Peter and John basically respond with the fact that silver and gold we don't have, but what we do have, we're going to give unto you. In the name of Jesus, rise up and walk. And taking him by the hand, they lifted him, and immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. And he, I love this phrase, leaping up, stood and walked and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising God. I think if I had been lame my whole life and somebody had come and miraculously, by the power of God, helped me to be able to walk for the first time, I think I would not just walk either. I think I would be leaping and running, but I certainly would be praising God. But it's very interesting that what happened back in this day is the exact same thing that happens way too often in our day. And that is that there are always people who want to know, how did this happen? It certainly could not be a miracle by the hand of God. There has to be another explanation. There has to be something that man has done. I've entitled this one, It Will Never Be About Us. The whole life that God has given to us, the purposes that he has placed in our lives will never be about us. What God has called us to, what God has saved us to be, what he has empowered us to accomplish is for his glory. It's to put his character and his glory on display. It is not to glorify us. It's not to promote us. That's a bad trap. And so God is teaching us in this passage that miraculous things that happen in our lives, starting with our salvation, which was a miracle, and the very miracle of life that gave to us the opportunity to live here and to be able to serve the Lord, empowered and gifted and given the strength and the health to do it, is by the good hand of God. But we like to take credit for it, but only until that health goes away, and then we want to blame God. We don't want to thank God when we are healthy, but we want to blame God when he doesn't keep us healthy. And it's just one of these crazy dynamics of our penchant to be self-dependent and self-reliant and self-promoting that we have to war against. God is in control of all things, and he does all things well. He has a purpose for our lives for whatever amount of time he has for us here on this earth. And so Peter, in verse number 12, when Peter saw it, that's the crowd gathering around, he answered unto the people, Ye men of Israel, why marvel ye at this? Or why look ye so earnestly on us, as though by our own power or holiness we had made this man to walk? The God of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob, the God of our fathers, hath glorified his son Jesus, whom ye delivered up, and denied him in the presence of Pilate when he was determined to let him go. But ye denied the Holy One and the just, and desired a murderer to be granted unto you. And you killed the Prince of Life, whom God hath raised from the dead, whereof we are witnesses. Peter draws the attention that this is nothing for a God who created all things. What you're witnessing had nothing to do with me or John. It isn't our own ability. It certainly isn't our holiness. This wasn't a work wrought of our own being or from our own power. This is something something that came from the creator God of the universe, who is able to strengthen anybody's ankles that he chooses, and to glorify himself with miraculous deeds, that you might understand that he is all power. He is all powerful. And so he gives an illustration. You would not allow Pilate to let him go when he knew there was nothing wrong. You chose a murderer to be let free rather than Jesus when Pilate was ready to let him go. His blood is on your hands. But just so you know, you weren't in control because God raised him from the dead, and we were all witnesses to that. The greatest power, the demonstration of incredible power, was when God raised his own son from the dead, proving that he had accepted the payment of sin that he paid in full, and that the offer of salvation was legitimate to whoever would call upon the name of the Lord. And so Peter goes back to his message in chapter 2, and he is saying, listen, you want to really see a miracle? Call on the name of the Lord to be saved, and he will transform your life. Every Christian under the sound of my voice, we are a living miracle of God. He miraculously transformed our lives from darkness to light, from a destination of hell to an eternity in heaven. And his name is to be praised. And so it's not just to be praised from our lips, it's to be praised by our lives. And so we can demonstrate that life really isn't about us when we live our lives as if it's all about God. And so let me ask you a question. How are you doing? How are you doing today? You got off to a start this week. Did you get off to a good start? Did you make the morning all about God, or were you grumpy because you didn't get enough sleep? You're still trying to recover from losing an hour. Maybe things didn't go right. The traffic wasn't right. And life has been all about you today. Well, let me just encourage you. Acts chapter 3 reminds us that we serve a powerful God who has done miraculous things in our lives, and we live to glorify him. And let's look for every opportunity to demonstrate how much we love and appreciate our great God by glorifying him and making our lives all about him. May God bless you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.